the British judge looked at it and said, look, Nigeria didn't get its act right, but I see so much fraud here, I can't in good conscience allow my fellow Brits to do this to our colony. And so he sidestepped all of that. I personally thought we were damn well fortunate that he was a man of conscience who decided to go ahead and do the right thing for the people of Nigeria. And that's the same thing that one would expect from the Nigerian courts. We shouldn't only imitate the robes and the wigs of the Brits. We should as well, follow substantial justice for our nation.
And the other case that, because I mean, from that international legal perspective, which you're privileged to have experience of, I mean, we've had two recent decisions that affect Nigeria and have turned the focus on it. One of them is obviously the P&ID case that you mentioned. The other one is the Chicago CSU certificate case. I mean, again, bearing in mind that it's sub judice, this is something that's going to be in court. I mean, what sort of impact have those cases had, and what might their implications be?
All right, so this is another reason why this particular petition is historic, because for the first time, external actors and factors were relevant to the case. To put it mildly, there is no footprint of Bola Tinubu's existence prior to a community college in the in the US. And so we don't have any footprint of him in Nigeria. All we have begins in the US, and most of it is dubious, even by his own admission. So if you put his gubernatorial INEC form next to his presidential INEC form, they contradict each other. And so nobody's claiming that he is fake. He himself said he is fake. So he submits names that are not his names and so on and so forth. So the primary source challenging his identity is himself. He's his own worst witness. And so what happened in the US court was really remarkable. You had two federal US judges in the same court where he forfeited almost $500,000 30 years ago. Two judges wrote 30-page judgments saying, release the records. Because, to them, it didn't make any sense that anyone would want to keep out his college records when he's a president. And he dodged the bullet because he was actually in New York at the UN when the records were going to be released. And so for the first time in the history of the United Nations, a sitting president of a country would have had his educational records released while he was attending the UN. So what did happen was the judges were very circumspect. They realized the importance of this issue, and she worked hard over the weekend. The last judge, Nancy Maldonado, worked hard through the weekend, and like the UK judge, released her judgment by email. And she did that because they all felt, as judicial brethren around the world, we want to help the Nigerian Supreme Court have the evidence it needs to do the right job.
Right.
And that's why they didn't waste time in handling the case.
So basically,
welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election held in Nigeria, in which President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was controversially declared the winner on March 1st, 2023. And that controversial result has now been confirmed by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And we're going to look, that's the center of our discussion in this video. The lawyer that you saw on Arise television is an international human rights lawyer, Emmanuel Ogabe. This is a committed and patriotic Nigerian. He had been very active in this election season to the level that he had to be present in the court to observe the court sittings at his own expense. And the interview you saw was conducted a day before the Supreme Court verdict on October 26th. And you can see that the video you watch started from the story about the judgment between the federal government of Nigeria and P&ID. You know that recently there was a judgment delivered in favor of Nigeria in the controversial $11 billion arbitration earlier awarded to P&ID. The federal government and P&ID had been involved in a battle when the company accused the country of botching a deal by failing to provide gas to them. Nigeria had suffered $6.6 billion judgment debt in 2017 when the arbitration tribunal ordered the country to pay P&ID the sum of 6.6 billion naira with interest starting from March 2013. P&ID in its claim said that Nigeria violated the terms of its agreement by failing to provide gas for the power plants it wanted to build for the country. It was a very big problem, to the level that former President Goodluck Jonathan reached an out-of-court agreement for the payment of $850 million to them. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for Nigeria, when Buhari entered, Buhari wanted to have a second look at that contract. It was that contract that the judgment was delivered a few days before the Supreme Court delivered its judgment on the petition filed by Peter Obi of the Labour Party and Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party. And you can see that Emmanuel Ogabe was using that judgment to give an example of what he was expecting the next day. He was saying that Nigeria had a very bad case. Nigeria had a very bad case. But he took the brilliancy and the dedication of the British judge or arbitrator to save Nigeria. Because ordinarily, the matter would have gone against us, against Nigeria, if they go strictly by how it's supposed to go. We had a very bad case. But the British judge looked at it and said, look, as he said there, he said, look, Nigeria didn't get its act right. But what can I do to save Nigeria? Because, as he said, the man could not in good conscience allow the thing to fly by. Because if he had gone, it's an easy case that Nigeria could have lost $11 billion. Nigeria could have been ordered to pay to this company. But the man looked at it and said, no, the contract was a bad contract from in the initial stage. So the man did not allow technicality to be an issue here. The man said, look, the contract ab initio is wrong-headed. The company itself was out to dupe Nigeria and all that. And he gave a judgment. Like you can see that Emmanuel Ogabe was saying that the man was, after seeing that Nigeria could lose money and that the British guy is actually on the right in terms of if you are going to base it on the contract that was signed. But the man said, no, I can't do this to our colony. So he sidesteps all the things that he could have done that could have favored the British company and rule in favor of Nigeria. And that was why you can see Ogabe was talking about, he said, I personally thought we were damn fortunate that he was a man of conscience who decided to go ahead and do the right thing for the people of Nigeria. And he said that that is the same thing that he would expect from the Nigerian court. He was talking about the Supreme Court the next day. And he now said that we shouldn't only imitate the ropes and the wigs of the British. We should as well follow substantial justice for our nation. So he had expected that Nigerian justice would borrow a leaf from what this man did, this judge did in London, who delivered justice with conscience. That is what they're going to do on October 26th. And he went on to say in that video that the matter before the courts, before the Supreme Court the next day, because the matter had gotten an international dimension because of Atiku Abubakar going to United States to bring evidence against Bola Ahmed Tinubu, especially the evidence from the Chicago State University. And that was why Ogabe was saying that this is another reason why this particular petition is historic, because for the first time, external actors and factors were relevant to the case. Because for years, this issue of Tinubu had been a matter reserved only here in Nigeria. Now, international dimension came up. And he was emphatic in his analysis. He said, to put it mildly, there is no footprint, talking about the identity of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He said, to put it mildly, there is no footprint of Bola Tinubu's existence prior to community college in the United States. We don't have any footprint of him in Nigeria. All we have began in the United States, and most of it is dubious. You heard him clearly say that. He said, even by his own admission, even by Tinubu's own admission, he said, if you put his gubernatorial INEC form next to his presidential INEC form, they contradict each other. And so nobody is claiming that he is fake. He himself said he is fake. He submits names that are not his names, and so on and so forth. The primary source challenging his identity is himself. He is his own worst witness. So what happened in the US court, he said, because himself was a major participant in following what was going on. He lives in the United States. He said, what happened? He said, so what happened in the US court was really remarkable. And you have two federal judges in the same court where he forfeited close to $500,000 30 years ago. That same court where he forfeited $460,000 was the court that dealt with his matter this time around. Only that the personnel have changed, of course. He said that the two judges wrote 30 pages judgment saying release the records, because to them it didn't make any sense that anyone would want to keep out his college record. Anyone would like to keep his college record out of reach when he is already the president of a country. He went on to say that he dodged the bullet because he was actually in New York at the United Nations when the records were to be released. And for the first time in the history of the United States, a sitting president of a country would have had his education record released while he was attending the UN General Assembly meeting. And he went on to say what happened. He said, what did happen was that the judges were very circumspect. They realized the importance of the issues. The judges realized the importance of the issues. And they worked hard over the weekend. They worked hard over the weekend. The last judge, Nancy Maldonado, worked hard through the weekend. Unlike the UK judge, released her judgment by email. And she did that because they all felt, as judicial brethren around the world, we want to help the Nigerian Supreme Court have the evidence it needs to do the right job. Are you getting it? He's telling us that the judges in America, they work night and day, weekends, to go through the judgment that Atiku needed, so that they can give evidence to Atiku that Nigerian judiciary can use to do the right thing. He said that is why they didn't waste time in handling the case. You can see, I'm sure that the judges in America, when they heard the verdict that the Supreme Court of Nigeria delivered on Thursday, they will be shaking their head. They will know that they will just shake their head and say, no wonder Nigeria is the most corrupt country in the world. They will be really disappointed. These people put themselves out so that they can give evidence that will help Nigerian Supreme Court to do the right job, to do the right thing. And Nigerian Supreme Court, Nigerian judges, what did they do? They throw it away to the dustbin with technicality. They didn't even bother to look at it. They didn't bother to look at it. Of course, many of us saw the sign earlier on. When on the 23rd, when they suddenly woke from their sleep on 23rd, and that when they suddenly woke from their sleep on 20th, and announced that 23rd will be the day that they are going to begin hearing on the matter. And on the day of that 23rd, the kind of question they were asking, that they have two conflicting letters from Chicago State University. One indicating that Tinubu certificate is verified, and the other one not verified. That was a sign that Nigerians are going to be taken for a ride. But it's not only Nigerians. The whole world, you can imagine what the US judges are feeling now when they hear the result. That all the effort they made to gather materials to beat the deadline was all in futility. Nigerian courts, Nigerian Supreme Court, used technicality to push away the matter. The core issue, did Bola Ahmed Tinubu submit forged certificate to the INEC, was disregarded. The real smoking gun for which the international community was paying attention was disregarded. It was disregarded. It was sacrificed on the altar of technicality. You can imagine what the Americans will be saying now, what the judges will be looking at Nigerian Supreme Court They will be looking at Nigeria, and Nigeria is not a serious country. That's basically what they would think. Despite all the effort they made, they didn't even bother to look at it. And what message are they passing? What message have Nigeria passed by the Supreme Court ruling? It means that you can get away with forgery on the altar of technicality. You can get away with somebody can get away with the fact that the school he said he attended at Government College in Lagos was not established as at the time he paraded a certificate he presented in a university in America. And it didn't bother the Supreme Court. It didn't bother the judiciary of Nigeria. The Americans will be utterly disappointed because you can see what this man said. This man is based in the United States. He knows it, and he's a lawyer. He practices law in the United States. He said that these justices in America, they work their ass out to give evidence so that they can give evidence to Nigerian judges to do the right thing, so that they have something to work with. But they didn't bother to look at it. They didn't bother to look at it. Perhaps because what they saw there will not be in line with what they want to achieve. Because there's no society will tolerate that, because it's an enormous issue that the president of a country was being accused of forgery, and the highest court in the land did not look at the evidence. He said, no, we can't look at it. The time has passed. So if somebody had murdered, killed somebody, and the Supreme Court, evidence was brought to the Supreme Court, a presidential candidate has won the election, and they brought evidence from America that he killed somebody, then the Supreme Court of Nigeria will overlook it. Murder. Because of technicality. It has passed the time of filing the matter. Or it has passed, they should take it to a lower court. They should have taken it to a lower court and then allow the man to escape and clothe the man with immunity. Because that's what it means. You use technicality to clear a man. If a man had been accused of murder because the person had won the presidency of Nigeria, and the evidence is brought before the court that this man committed murder, this is the evidence. You say, no, you didn't bring it on time. Which society is run like that? Is the law made for man or man for the law? So that was how they threw away the help that came from America. Because it was help. The discovery, the quest for discovery in America, Americans wanted to help Nigeria. They know our history. They know that we are a very corrupt nation. That was why even the issue of the forgery allegation, they were seeing it as a Nigerian thing. And now we have legalized it with our judgments. There is no doubt about it. The American lawyer judges that try to help our country, try to help Nigeria to dodge the bullet, they will be highly disappointed by the actions of the Nigerian judiciary. But they will not be totally surprised, because our history as a nation is like an open book. I can tell you for free, even the justices of the Supreme Court, when they carry their green card and enter any country, they will treat him like every other Nigerian. The way they mistreat other Nigerians is how they will mistreat them, because we don't have good records internationally. And that is because of the way we handle things, because of our corruption. And now we have exposed ourselves the more. Because Americans help us to get evidence. And we throw it away under the guise of technicalities. It will be interesting to hear what Barrister Emmanuel Ogabe will say after the judgment. But even himself, I'm sure he will be too disappointed, just like the American judges will be when they find out that all the effort, all the things, all the weekends they couldn't rest just to help Nigeria get evidence was a wasted effort. All because Nigerian judiciary has shown that indeed they are not different from the reason why Transparency International rated Nigeria the most corrupt country in the world. The reason why David Cameron, former Prime Minister of Great Britain, described Nigeria and Afghanistan as two of the most fantastically corrupt countries in the world. What a sad story. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.